Great integrity. I don't know, did you ever hear about the guy who was driving out, I think he was out in rural Montana or something. He's driving around, he sees this sign, talking dog for sale. Did you ever hear about this guy? I think I saw it in the paper or whatever. So he's this talking dog for sale. He's out in the boondocks. He sees this sign, he pulls over, pulls into this guy's front yard, if you call it that. He said it was like a real dilapidated, like a shanty type of a house there. And the guy sitting out in front, he gets out of the car and he says, "Where's this dog at? It's your talking dog." And the guy says, "He's out in back." So the guy walks around back and sees this like a German Shepherd mix out there. So he says, "You talk?" The dog says, "Yep." And he says, after his, lifts his jaw back up from dropping, he said, "Well, tell me what your story is." So the dog says, "Well, I found out I could talk very young." Yeah, I found out I could talk very young, and so I wanted to serve my country, so I, contacted the CIA. So he says they sent me out as actually undercover. So I was jetting around the world, went over to a lot of places that were very, kind of romantic, really. And he said that I was with some spies and heads of state, and I got around like with no problem because nobody thought that a dog would be eavesdropping. So he says, but jetting around like that got kind of boring. It got too much, actually. So I came back, applied for a job at the airport, and I was just doing some security and watching some characters at the airport. So I did foil a few attempts, of some shenanigans that were going on. But he says, you know what? I ended up getting married, had a bunch of puppies, and now I'm just retired. So the guy turns around, he goes to the front. He asks the owner, he says, "How much you want for the dog?" He says, "I want $10. $10? $10? The dog's amazing. What are you talking about? $10 for the dog? Why are you selling him so cheap?" Because he says, "Well, because he's a liar. He hasn't done any of that stuff." So, integrity matters. Integrity matters. So, but I just wanted to say here, I'm gonna look at my cheat sheet here because I know that we're short on time. It's already 1:30, but I'm gonna go ahead and just say here, public speaking is huge. No matter what your background is, no matter where you've come from, tell your story, your testimony, what you have done, because you have a history of success. You do. You're here. If you have an issue with, and one real good way to doing that is that if you don't like to speak in public, just stand at home and read out of a book like we did when we were kids. Just read out loud and record it on your phone and play it back and get used to hearing your voice. And I promise you, you will start to develop that skill. And when you get to a point to where you want to take it to the next level, there is an organization called Toastmasters that is phenomenal. And it's good on a resume too. And it opens up doors for networking too. And you start to continue to grow and build your platform. Now, if you're a little bit, I'm a little bit nervous about doing that, what you want to do is go down here on Michigan Avenue during the summertime. And you go over there, they put this wooden plank flooring down there, and you go to summer dance. Anybody ever hear of summer dance? They got dancing outside there. It's on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They have a live band, dance instruction, and then you go ahead and it's public dancing. Just go out there and start to learn how to dance. I promise you, you start to learn how to speak in public, then you start to go dancing. And your confidence is going to go through the roof. I promise you. This works. And then this one is mega important. Learn people. And this is old. Thousands of years old. This goes back to like a couple thousand years ago. Personality traits. They call them assessments. Has anybody taken any kind of a psychology class in here where they talk about personality types and that? I've taken sales training and they talk about it, and they color code some of the traits, or they'll give them a different name of some sort. But one trait is basically where someone is very action oriented. They just need to go. You want to go on vacation? Let's go. They don't worry if they got any money, gas in the car. Let's do it. We'll book it. We'll go. Don't worry. Let's do it and do it now. And then you've got other people who are planners, who are much more stable in their outlook, and they're always putting it on a calendar and planning, and we'll make sure we got money, we got food, we're going to bring sandwiches, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, where are we going to stop for gas, this, that. And they never go anywhere because they're always planning on how this is going to unfold. Then you've got some folks that are extremely technical and detail-oriented. And there might be something going on that's really important, but they get distracted because of one detail there that is just driving them absolutely crazy. And they need to get that answer, that they need to get it fixed. And that's a particular personality type. And then there's those who just come and hug you and love you and want to eat. Let's go ahead and just, what do they call it? Kumbaya, you know, that's the thing. And so, but we all have these personality traits, but they're in different mixes. So we have a dominant and one that's not. What's hugely important for all of us, no matter what we do, in family and professional life, is to learn more about this. And I'll give you an example briefly, is that you go for a job interview, or if I'm going to go see a client, what have you, scan the office if you're able to look at where they work, and you will get hints of what kind of a personality that they have predominantly by the way their office looks. If they have a sailboat and they have one of those Remington statues with a horse and there's all this stuff, airplanes on the wall, whatever, you know, you get this, or athletic type, you get this action vibe going on. And it kind of helps you to adjust your speech and your presentation as to talk a little bit. Maybe you can bring up sports, or what, you know, I noticed this, or you like that, and so forth. Likewise with those who are more stable type of individuals, they tend to have more of their certificates and accomplishments posted up on the wall or hung on the wall. So you say, oh, where'd you get that from? Or where'd you go to school at, etc. And so you at least open the door a little bit easier to have something in common. You have someone who is very detail-oriented. They will usually have maybe a pocket protector, or you know, they'll have their phone, or they'll have the latest gadget, and that is a good indication. So you can say, well, what kind of phone? What do you think of this phone that's coming out, etc., and so forth. Whatever it takes to go ahead and to establish that bond for them to look at you as a person, because it's all of these organizations, they're hiring people and they want people. There's like a firewall that you kind of go through, that, you know, you have to have this certain image, maybe, I don't know what's the best word for it, but once you go through this barrier, this vetting process, and you actually get in and you see that these are people with families and dreams and desires who work at a particular place, and they want you as a part of that. They just want to make sure it's a good fit, and they want to make sure that they're not excluding anyone for any particular reason. So they have criteria that they have to follow. But once you get in, with the company that I was at for 22 years, there was like a family that just grew organically. I've got a relationship that I'm doing some part-time work with now on the northwest side of the city. Again, they grew organically. A lot of family members are there, and it's just different. So much different than a real cold, hard corporation, to where you come in and you're literally, you do feel like it's just a number. It is, and then boom, you're out. That's it. And so, but lastly, the relational type of a personality, the one who's looking for harmony and love and peace and all that, you will generally find animals in their office, maybe a picture of a cute cat or whatever, and there's some cookies, and there's a lot, always revolves around food, and there's a lot of hugging going on, and that kind of stuff. So it does matter how these fit together for our benefit as we are searching for any kind of relationship. And that's why I said with this, effort counts. There are certain fundamental things that they're not going to change. Human nature does not change. And I just want to see if I didn't miss anything. This right here is a key. 3 other things. Volunteering for those who, for whatever reason, were in this no man's land for a while. We're in between jobs, or we're just unhappy. There's a lot of people who are making money and they're just unhappy, and they're looking for some way to make this change, and it impacts our lives in a great deal. Go ahead and volunteer. All of us, and the gentlemen and ladies with the caps on, we're the American Legion. American Legion is a veteran service organization. By all means, volunteer into something. It's amazing how the doors of places you never thought that you'd be able to get invited to, they open up when you're a volunteer. Now, the criteria for volunteering has changed over the years. It's much more like getting a job now, minus the paycheck. You might get a sandwich, you might get a cup of coffee, but you might get a t-shirt, guys and gals. But it's got criteria of they're very concerned about how you're representing the organization, and there's some safety measures in there. But do volunteer. Always think about building your platform. And the platform is kind of a newer buzzword that's actually your marketplace. If you're in business, you want to have people who are going to be your clients and loyal. I always think about American Idol. I think this is a great show, not because I don't watch it that often, but I've seen it enough. For even if the candidate, the contestant, never makes it to TV, they get thrown out at the first audition. They walk in with their guitar or whatever, their harmonica or whatever it is. They walk in there and they're told, no, sorry, but don't quit your day job, that kind of a thing. Even that exercise helped that individual take that step out of their comfort zone to go do it. Now, as they move along and they're going ahead and they get their families involved and their friends involved, and wow, if they're really blessed enough, they have talent enough to where they actually start to get voted on and they start having people call in, that's their platform. They've built a career right there. They've got a fan base that they can go ahead and cultivate, relate to, that is going to be theirs. We all go through that. That's why Facebook and all the social media, we do it in our volunteer organizations where we're trying to expand and grow and increase our voice, whatever the mission is, whatever the volunteer organization does. But having that email network and so forth, it's all part of this concept of this having a platform. It's very, very important. And whether it's a one-person operation or we're running a big department of a corporation, it's all the same principle. If you're in business for yourself, you're doing work, you have to fulfill all the functions that even a large company has to fulfill. Even if you're only by yourself, the functions have to be performed. And it matters having a good market or a good platform. People skills, of course, that we were talking about. The ability to make and keep friends is huge. But everybody in here, if you're coming to these kind of events, you're doing that. And nobody is perfect by any stretch. I didn't know when I came here who was going to be here. In fact, we said how many veterans are here? We got a veteran here. Well, thank you for your service. There's a lot who aren't, and then there's a lot of us who were veterans so long ago that don't ask us to march. We marched yesterday. It was funny. But anyway, I'll close with this. Anybody here remember Hulk Hogan, right? Now, he used to close, and I love this guy, because he says, I didn't watch his show that much, but I watched when he would close. Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, he was a bad guy, then he turned a good guy, I guess, and then he's like a superhero sort of a person. But anyway, he's a caricature. But the point is he had these little followers, he would call them his Hulksters. They're little ones, right? And he would always close his show and say, don't forget to say your prayers and eat your vitamins. That's what's key. Just say your prayers. Go ahead and come to a point to where you feel good about what you're doing, and take care of your health. Just take care of yourself. Because I tell you what, success, whether you're in a corporation or you're by yourself in any kind of a shop, it's taxing. It is very taxing. You got to manage your rest and all this stuff. It's very, very important. Lastly, for those of us, and I confess, those of us who have taken a long time to find out what it is that you really want to do. Does everybody here really know what they want to do in life? It's not that easy, because we're taught we should this and we should that. But I found, and this is just me talking, but I believe it with my whole heart, analyze what you do when you don't have to do it. And that's where your focus is. And then just go as deep into that as what we have all done, going that deep for someone else's dream, someone else's goal. When we go work for a company, we learn their rule book, we learn their bylaws, we learn, well, there comes a time where, time is fleeting. You know, you turn around, I've got a few kids, one's here in the audience, thank God, and I got one, is Dale's sister, who we were having a conversation. She's living out in Florida right now. I says, you remember when you were in your 20s and you really knew that you were an adult, and in your mind you knew which way the wind was blowing, big time. And but people would kind of marginalize you, because it was, you're still pretty young and so forth. Yeah, I remember that. So then I said, but now, you get into your 30s, and now people take you seriously. You're in your prime, you look the part, you act the part, you've got some work history. So, and she says, yeah, they do that, yeah. And I said, well, enjoy it, because when you get into your 40s, it starts over again. They start saying, wow, you're getting up there, man, you're getting, So that's what it is. So you just go ahead and enjoy that. So what do you do when you don't have to? That is your interest base. So start there and move on from that. Just remember that effort counts. It does matter what you've done and what you are going to do. Everything that you've done thus far has brought you here to this point, and the future is good. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Okay, thank you very much.